For all things outdoors, listen to the father of two, the Jesus-loving, TV show hosting, hairy, true-blood American redneck, Ben Cole.
And listen to the outdoor filming, chef cooking, chocolate milk drinking, John Weismuller. We are
Rooted Podcast.
Well, John, we are back. We are back in the studio talking today about land and genetics and how we are going to increase the quality of land and quality of wildlife based on what we put into the land. So, the first question I have for you, John, is how much land do you actually need for a solid place to hunt?
I'll tell you this. I have a personal friend up in Ohio who hunts on 12 acres. Okay? And that dude has shot a 200-inch deer with a bow and arrow on 12 acres. So, my answer is you only need the amount of land the deer is standing on. You don't need a lot. You don't need a 5,000 acre farm or anything like that. You can get it done. I consistently get it done on 30 acres. There's people who get it done on 100, on 12, whatever the case is. The biggest thing is knowing what to do habitat-wise, food source-wise, and knowing your deer and the right time to hunt.
No, I agree with that 100%, man. You know, speaking of the smaller tracts of land, just yesterday, I put up a new camera at my father-in-law's place, and it is 5 acres there, and I've already had 2 bucks and 5 or 6 does just cruising down this path through the woods. It's super dense, super thick, but there's mowed trails all through it, and the way I looked at it, I thought, well, I'm going to look at the topographical map and see what it looks like in there and what the neighbor's property looks like. How does it fall land-wise? What's the grade? All that kind of stuff. And, man, this is like the perfect little travel corridor. But one thing you got to watch out for on this kind of stuff is if you shoot a deer and it runs on your neighbor's property, what do you do? Do you just go look for it? I would suggest that you don't. I would suggest you go and knock on their door and say, hey, I shot a deer on my property. It ran onto yours. Can I please have your permission to retrieve that animal? You know, I'm not going to tear anything up. It's going to be better than how I found it, yada, yada, yada. And I think that is the best way to approach that. I do not condone trespassing. Now, I mean, man, if you don't know your property lines, download one of these fancy maps. I mean, there's a lot of applications out there today that can help you with that, and so that would be my suggestion on the small land is knowing your property lines and get to know your neighbors in case you were to shoot a deer and it runs off your property.
And I would get to know your neighbors early, preferably before season. Go up to them, dress up nice. You don't need a suit and tie, but you need to not look like a hobo either. And go in there, introduce yourself, and, you may just get lucky and end up picking up another 5, 10, 15 acres.
True. That's very true, man. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to skin that cat. You never know.
So, but the bottom line is, I just don't think you need a lot of land. You just need the right land, and you can make your land the right land with food plots, with different habitats, maybe a burn, whatever that looks like. You can make any property successful.
Yeah, I think you can definitely make any property successful. I will say when it comes to planting food plots, depending on the topography, there are some areas that are so rocky you cannot turn the soil. Now that is going to be difficult. Now you can still do the throw and grow, you can still do all that kind of stuff, but it's going to be really hard to establish a solid food source in that. So what I would suggest when you have a situation like that, go to your hardwood flats. If you have one, go hunt it. Like this year, acorn trees were dropping thousands and thousands of acorns all through the woods. That is more than enough browse for a deer. They love acorns until they go sour, until they start rotting. And that's the only trouble with it is they get rot to them.
So let me ask you this. If someone is just got a piece of land to hunt, whether they bought it, whether they got permission, whatever, and they are allowed to put a food plot on it, what do you think is a good little kill plot for overall for deer, turkey, whatever it is, and they can only build, a little quarter acre plot? What would you tell that person to plant?
Oh man, right out the gate, I would say first thing you need to do is take a soil sample, right? So a soil sample is going to tell you your pH, your CEC, which is the cation exchange. It's going to also tell you all the macro and micronutrients, and it's also going to tell you all the nutrients you need to know, like your NP and K, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. It's going to tell you that. So primarily what you want is your pH to be 6 to 6.5. That is the ideal range for the most prominent pH, right? So what that is pH is simply neutral or acidic. That's what that is, basic or acidic. And neutral is right in the middle where we want it about 6 to 6.5. So that encourages the greatest growth and greatest potential out of the crop that you're planting. Now, one thing that I would do is if your pH is a little low, I would not lime until later in the winter, like after deer season's over. That's when you want to start liming. You want to lime like in February, the end of January through February, and give it time to really soak into the soil and start changing that pH a little bit. But the next thing you want to look at is your NP and K. And basically, it is all broken down by what plant you want to grow, right? So, corn, for example, you're going to need a whole lot more nitrogen for corn than you will soybeans because soybeans are a legume and they actually fix nitrogen to their roots and replenish the nitrogen in the soil. That's what they do. They have little rhizomes that are on their roots and it literally replenishes the nitrogen in the soil. And that brings me to my next point, which is if you're going to do a row crop style, soybeans, corn, it is really, really good to do a rotation. Every year, rotate soybeans to corn. But if you're doing a real small plot, I wouldn't mess with soybeans because the deer are going to wipe them out in 2 days. Just as soon as they come up, they're out. They're gone. There's nothing left of them. But as far as a solid kill plot, I know I've kind of walked in a circle there, but as far as a solid kill plot, I would go with your brassicas, your turnips, your wheats, your clovers, and maybe a little oat. But that right there is deer are going to browse on that. And let me tell you this, clover can withstand the most browse pressure out of all of it. Because you can go and bush hog clover or mow it or whatever, and it just keeps coming back. And you don't even have to replant it for up to 5 years if you can establish that solid stand in the first go around and you keep it sprayed throughout the summer and all that kind of stuff. So, what I would suggest, if you don't have anything else, throw out some clover. That is a go to, and deer love it. Turkeys love clover. Turkeys will hammer a
Yep.
clover field. But now, if you can access it, you know as well as I do, chufa is pretty dang good for those turkeys. You got to get after that chufa a little bit on the turkey hunting side. But like our ranch in Linden, we're growing row crops. I mean, corn, soybeans, all the way down to micro plots in the woods, just something small enough to get them to stop so you can make a clean shot. That's what you want to do. And you want to give them enough food to last through a harsh winter. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to give them all the nutrients they need to not only be the biggest buck that they can be genetically speaking, because like you and me know very well, there's no guarantee that any deer is going to be a 170-inch deer. They're just not all genetically inclined to do that. It's like humans, some people aren't genetically inclined to be tall. Some are not to be short or whatever. Everybody's different, and there's reasons for that.
Yeah.
It's just how we're made, and animals are a lot the same. I mean, they're genetically inclined to do whatever they're going to do, but what you can do is take the effort to maximize their potential and give them the protein that they need in the early stages, such as summer and plant your soybeans or whatever. If you're doing the big row crops, you can do soybeans. They love sunflowers. I planted 5 acres of sunflowers this year, and they ate all of them. All of them. Every leaf that was there was gone. I don't know how they still made a head, but it wasn't great. But that's what I would do, John. Is I would take it and
Yeah.
make you a kill plot and start there at least.
Yeah, I definitely agree. My first food plot was clover and winter wheat. Now, for those of you that don't know, I'm a kind of an overkill guy, so whatever the rate for an acre is, I tend to double that. But
No, you
if
tend to
you can't do
quadruple
that, yeah, I tend to go a little overboard. My excuse is always that the birds are going to eat it, but really, I don't know, I just get seed happy. But I would definitely go clover and winter wheat. It's just perfect all season, and then the turkeys like it, and you'll start to see differences in songbirds and doves, squirrels, all that kind of stuff browses on it, and all that's going to help out your habitat in your woods and just make for a better hunt, I think.
No, I agree with you 100%, man. As far as just a small kill plot, you cannot ever go wrong with clover. Can't ever go wrong with it. Crimson clover,
Mm-mm.
Landino clover, white clover, red
Yeah,
clover.
crimson's what I use.
Man, crimson clover is phenomenal. I mean, you got a really good stand this year, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you did.
Yeah,
So,
man, I mean it's phenomenal.
yeah, so everybody out there that's listening to this, you have to know the reason why John said he overkills the food plot seed is because it's the truth. And I'll tell you what, I told him the other day, I said, I am not planting food plots your way ever again. I went to help him one day and we sat there because, well, I will say this. I will give you the benefit of the doubt, John. We, it wasn't because we were just trying to do it the hard way. It was because we didn't have a
No.
PTO for the spreader. So we
Yeah.
proceed
I
to
tried to do it the right way. I tried.
yeah, yeah. So we proceed to hand spread an entire acre of food plot.
Yeah.
And I looked at him, I said, never again. I will never do this again.
Yeah. But we did shoot deer out of that thing, so well worth it.
Didn't you kill one of your bigger bucks out of there after that?
Yeah,
That big
I've
eight?
shot some pretty good deer out of there, which is what I'm glad you touched on that. You were talking about genetics before. My buddy in Ohio who shot that big deer, and me down here, I did the same thing. So yes, some deer they're not going to be 150-inch to two, and up deer, just because they're just not. It's just not in their DNA. But you can do this to get the maximum potential. There's some deer that are just funky, and on this particular farm, I've shot 2 bucks that their antler. I had one antler that went straight, and the other one laid flat. I mean, just bloop, like laid right on their head. So 2 years in a row, I got those deer out of there. I tried to get those genetics out to let the better genetics in, and 2 years after that, I shot my biggest deer, a big white 8-point. I don't know what it scored. I don't score deer, but my point being is I haven't seen any of those other kind of weird funky bucks. I got those out of there, and then got my big deer. So sometimes you may have to sacrifice a tag to get that funky deer, but in the long run, if you're looking at it long term, that can really help your herd.
Or just call me and I'll sacrifice my tag on your funky deer. I like weird deer.
Yeah, or just call a buddy. You know, get the youth involved.
Take a
Whatever.
kid
First time hunters,
hunting.
any of that.
Yeah, absolutely. But to your point, though,
Exactly.
now you're consistently getting mainframe 8 points, some 10 points, and stuff like
Yeah.
that on
Yeah.
your farm. So when I got to the farm that I'm on, I had to do the same thing. So I had some bucks with a solid blade on one side and then a 4 on the other. I mean, it looked like a knife blade just
Mm-hmm.
coming out. Shot that deer, have not seen another one. I mean, I shot him immediately. I saw him. I was like, "Yep, oh, see you
Yep.
later."
You got to go, pal.
Yeah, yeah. He didn't go 10 yards. It was over. So I did that, and we've always had some really big deer around where we are.
Yeah.
But man, over the years, I've started getting funky deer. Like when I say funky, I mean one of them looks like a Christmas tree on one side. It looks like he's got just like a mask coming out of the top of his head, and then the other side's perfect.
Hmm.
And then this year, I have a mainframe 4 point with a second main beam coming out that's as long as the other main beam and the tallest tine. And then on the bases, there's just trash going everywhere. So I can't decide if I need to kill that deer or not. But I think that would be a good deer for you to take out, real honestly. Because I hope he's got to do his thing, and knock up some does. That's kind of what I'm hoping. Oh, look, this fireworks. Ain't that
Hey,
cute?
Ben's got real excited. Look at that. For
Look,
those
when
of
you
you
hold your
that are not watching the video, he just had
yeah,
fireworks go in the background for some reason.
I have
That's
no
awesome.
idea how that
Cool.
works. How does why did that do that?
That is
Whatever.
hilarious.
Yeah, whatever, man. But we
yeah,
have now consistently changed the whole outlook of this farm. And, it really all started
yes.
with taking that one buck. And then I started doing the nutrition program during the spring and the summer. I was planting the protein peas, the chufa for the turkeys, the clovers, the corn, soybeans, all that kind of stuff. And that has truly, truly changed the course of this farm. And same goes for Linden, man, Sinking Creek Ranch. I went down the other day and, or actually today, and pulled some SD cards. And dude, it was loaded with bucks. And several of them were shooter bucks. The Wise Eye cameras, as always, they do a phenomenal job. I did let one of the batteries go dead. Whoops. But
Yikes.
that's remedied now. That is fixed. So don't get mad at me, John. I did fix it. But long story short, what I'm getting at is if you take the time, and I don't care, like John said, if you have 5 acres, whatever, it does not matter. The same principles apply to 5 acres as they do 1,000 acres. It's just not on the same scale. You don't have to worry about planting a food plot every 100 acres. You don't have to worry about, putting a camera here, putting a camera there, putting a camera all over the country. You can have one camera, and that's all you need. Just one.
Yep.
That's
Good.
it. Plant one food plot, and you're good. That's all you got to do. But now, on the flip side of that, in the big properties like the 1,000 acres, the 5,000 acres and up, that is a whole nother animal when it comes to prepping for season, putting in your plots. Because let's face it, you don't want all your plots to be clover. You don't want all your plots to be whatever. You want a variety in every single plot. For me, anyway, that's what I would
A
want.
smorgasbord. Yes.
So, John,
I
tell me, what
agree.
would you want if you were running or planting on 1,000 acres? What would you think one of the best food plot schemes would be on that 1,000 acres?
So, first things first, right? Let's just take a step back here for a second. You need to look at number 1, what's around you, okay, and then 2, see how your property lays out, okay. So maybe if you have a big time farmer who just plants corn for farming, like not hunting, maybe you won't plant a cornfield on that side of the farm. Okay, something like that, just as an example. But anyway, if I was doing that, this is how I would look at it. Let's just talk deer hunting for a second. I want to shoot something during bow season, right? And then come gun season. So I would plant corn and soybeans or a cowpea or something in that family. Number one, it helps the bucks grow bigger antlers in the summertime whenever they're growing. It helps the moms produce better milk for the fawns, and that just keeps helping out your herd. And then the next thing, I like green, so I'm looking for. I love Daikon radishes. Those things are awesome. The deer tear them up. They hit them hard in the winter as well. I'm looking for clover and that winter wheat mix, like we were talking about. I would still plant that. Any sort of your brassica, your turnips, kale. I mean, anything like that. Those are the main components of what I would do. Really, really, just make sure you establish an early season, a late season, and then kind of an all around type food plot as well. That way, you got options. The deer have options, and they honestly become a little. I won't say easy to pattern because it's still a wild animal, but you can put the odds in your favor if you do it right.
Yeah, man, you can definitely put the odds in your favor. And the beautiful thing about a late season food plot, let's talk about this for a second. You are
Yeah.
essentially giving these bucks and these does the nutrients they need after a hard rut. So the rut, for
Yeah.
those of you who don't know, I'm sure 99% of you know what it is. So if that's you, I'm not talking to you because you already know what I'm about to say. The rut is when the bucks chase the does. We just had an episode about this, or either it's coming out this weekend, one of the two. Bucks chase does, they're trying to breed, whatever. So those bucks use a ton of energy during that time, and they have to go and have a high caloric intake. And what that does is that gives them all that they have pushed out over the past 2 weeks of running does all over the countryside. It's like just like this morning, I had a really big deer show up and his tongue was hanging out, just he was just wore out, man, because he was chasing these does,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what they do for weeks. And then guess what? They have to go and they have to eat because they need that nutrition in their life to survive. And if you have that plot, it doesn't matter if it's a quarter of an acre. They will come and they will feed there because they have to have it.
Yeah. And whether that's corn, for late season, I prefer something like a radish, like a clover, something like a big green pasture. That's kind of what I'm looking for. But alfalfa works awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
man, alfalfa
and
works great.
anything. I mean, anything like that, because during the rut, they're really not coming to food plots as much. Maybe after a long hard day, but it early season that they will hit it. Uh, the rut, they're kind of doing their thing, but that post rut food plot hunt, that can be a special time of year.
It really can be a special time of year, which is, what I'm really excited for down there at Sinking Creek Ranch, man, because we have these huge sprawling cornfields that have wheat planted in them. And oh, man, it's about to be special over there for a lot of different
Mm-hmm.
reasons, but that's just one of the reasons. But man, I have to say, that place holds a special place in my heart because of Miss Gail. Miss Gail recently passed away, and the Kennedys have been really close to me for a while now, and uh, man, I don't know. Every time I go, they say that a cardinal is a sign of somebody coming to visit you, and every time I've been there, I've seen a cardinal. It's pretty crazy, you know, every single time.
That is wild.
And you know that was
Hey,
her
man.
legacy, man, was Sinking Creek Ranch, and that's what I want to share is her legacy, and I want people to see what we're doing down there. And you know, the thing of it is it takes years, and I mean, let's face it, it does not happen overnight. You're not going to roll into a farm and in one hunting season figure it out. Number one, now if you got 5 acres, you can figure it out pretty quick, but still, it's still
Yeah,
going to
you
take
don't
a
have much of a
while.
choice.
Oh yeah, but it still takes time to plant what you need to plant, to do
Yeah.
all that stuff. It still takes a lot of time. So this is year 3 for me at the ranch, and you know, last year me and you ran into this problem of planting the soybeans in the drought, and we planted 15-inch rows. Well, that was a terrible idea. The deer
Yeah, it
destroyed
was god
them.
awful.
Yeah, they were. It was gone in 2 weeks. As soon as they come up, it was gone. And we planted 20 acres worth of soybeans last year. So this year,
Yeah.
I went to double the seed rate and 7.5-inch rows, which was a grain drill. And let me tell you something, buddy. We had one heck of a soybean crop. I mean, it was phenomenal. It's awesome. I've never seen.
Yep.
Actually, one of the locals said they have never been able to grow a soybean crop on that property. And I thought, well, I wonder if it's just because maybe they weren't using the grain drill. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why it worked this time. I guess I'm just going to give all the credit to the good Lord for making that happen. Because man, I sure saw an increase in the deer, and man, just the total nutrition. Man, our fawns look phenomenal this year. They just look absolutely
Mm-hmm.
awesome. From the babies to the bucks, they are very well fed, and that is all because of the work that we put in the spring and late summer. And if you're going to plant radishes, I would suggest, this is definitely depending on where you are, right? Where you are in the country, or if you're in other countries, I can't help you. I don't know, because you're on a total opposite thing than I am. But what I will say is go to your local seed rep or whoever, and they'll tell you what to do. But for the boys in Tennessee, Alabama, all our southeastern boys, uh, what you want to do is you want to plant the radishes towards the end of August. That gives them time to develop the fruit at the root. And if you put the right amount of fertilizer on it, you will have some beautiful greenage at the top. But the key is to
Mm-hmm.
get the soil loose enough for those things to grow to their fullest potential if you're going to do the radishes. Now, if you're going to do radishes and a mix, I would do the radishes by themselves in the field and then do your mix beside it. Like you did in your field,
Mm-hmm.
John. Isn't that how we
Yep.
laid your field out?
Yeah, so I basically just have a big square, and all I did was I essentially, so I kind of just made the square shorter. So if you can imagine, right, square, I I shrunk it, and then this third of the square was radishes, and the remaining square I cut it right in half, and or I cut it into thirds actually. Planted clover, cowpeas, and then chufa. Um, Worked out great. The deer have just torn it up, and then I tried to replant. We had a drought, or in the middle of one. We're actually supposed to get some rain in a couple days, thank God. But
Thank the Lord.
so anyway, sometimes droughts happen. But I want to say this: you mentioned something. I think another great reason for clover, like we were talking about in the very beginning, was it pretty much grows on anything. Like my point being is you do not need a big time tractor with the best equipment. Like you could literally take a day's work with a rake and some sort of chisel. I mean, I've done it. I didn't have a tractor my whole life, and I went out there, me and a few buddies, and you buy them all lunch. You rake up a little tiny thing, and you move on, and you just plant whatever, and and keep going. Like, it doesn't have to be this big glamorous operation with all this fancy stuff. Now, I have a tractor now. It's very nice. It makes my life a whole lot easier, but you can do it without that stuff, is what I'm saying.
Oh, absolutely. And you can even use a garden tiller. Like one of those little Mantis tillers, one
Yeah.
that's a weed eater engine. You can just throw it in the bed of your truck and then go,
Yeah, dude.
or your 4-wheeler or whatever. It doesn't
Or
matter.
rent one.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah, exactly.
like you said, man. You don't have to have a huge farming operation to provide extra food for your deer and their protein. Aid in their protein and all the other nutrients that they
Right.
need. You don't have to have a full blown farming operation to do any of that, but it is nice.
It is. It
I'll
makes
tell you,
life
man,
easy. Yeah,
dude,
buddy.
having a tractor and a 6-row corn planter now, dude. You've
That
seen
makes
it.
life easy.
I planted 35 acres with a 2-row planter. That takes a while, pal. Takes a long time, but let me
Yeah.
tell you something. The stand from that little 2-row planter was phenomenal. That thing is awesome, and it's an old school 70s model Alice Chambers, which was a 4 or 6-row planter at the time, and they cut them down into 2s. I was like, oh, this is awesome for corn. Yes, corn and soybeans.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So we've still got that
Yeah,
planter,
buddy.
and we still use it because it's phenomenal, and I can get it back into my
Well, yeah.
small plots. Now I also have seed plates with that to do the sorghum and stuff like that for the pheasant and quail or dove or whatever. But you don't even have to have that. Like you said, you don't have to have it, but it sure is nice.
Yeah, it makes life a whole heck of a lot easier. I will tell you that.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think the moral of this story is take the time, put in the work. It doesn't matter what your budget is. It doesn't matter what your limitations are. Don't let your limitations stop you. And don't let anybody else stop you either. People are going to be like, well, man, you're crazy. I won't be out there raking them leaves back. Well, guess what? You're going to kill a big deer or a deer or something.
Yeah.
You're going to increase your odds. I mean, that's the goal, right? Increasing your odds. I mean, that's just the way it is. You want to do the best you can for what you can do. And I mean, me and you
That's
both,
it.
man, we've been there. We've planted food plots with a tiller or rake or whatever. I mean,
Yeah,
dude, I
man.
can tell you how much ground I have raked leaves back and just sprinkled some seed in. Just to have just
Oh,
enough to
dude.
kill a deer.
Now, I'll tell you this. This funny story, man. So I said that because it's true. I've done it. So I used to have this lease. It's like $400 a year. Me and my dad put in on it. This is all I had. And I found this place. Of course, it was a pain in the butt to get to. And of course, I wanted to build a shooting house. So we did. And I was like, well, now I need a food plot because that's what I see on all the cool shows and stuff. So, and we don't have a tractor. We do have a 4-wheeler. But this place is, hindsight, I probably shouldn't have even put anything here. But we did see a bunch of deer, shot some deer, all that jazz. But anyway, so I literally built like a 15-yard by 10-yard food plot, like nothing crazy. And I was in high school, and I just got all my buddies and some dudes from work. I was like, listen, I'll let you hunt, and I'll buy your lunch. I need help building this food plot. Everybody brought their rake from home and their little, maybe a garden hoe or whatever. And I just remember buying one of them igloo cooler things like they have at ball games and stuff. And we brought that. And one of my buddies ate a 12-pack of donuts and threw up in all the heat of the summer.
Sounds like something I'd do.
And man, you gotta know, it was just fun, dude. We had a ball and we planted. I couldn't even tell you whatever I bought at the store. I don't even, maybe some like 7-card stud or something. And I got my little bag of 10 and threw it on it. I didn't know what I was doing, but it grew. So cool, and whatever had deer on it, yada yada. But the point being, like, just go out there, do it, and just make it happen and have fun and learn and just hunt.
Yeah, and two, doing the soil sample, even on a 10 by 15, will tell you exactly what you need. You don't have to
Yeah.
go and,
Oh yeah.
it's $10, $10 to pull the soil sample, and it's
Yeah.
easy.
Just go to the co-op or whatever. Yeah.
So you go to the
Just
co-op and you
go.
say, hey, I need a soil sample bag. Okay, cool story. They give you a bag. You go and you pull the sample. So what you want to do, even on a small plot, you want to do a grid. Like you go here, go there, zigzag pattern all the way across. And
Yeah.
that gives you all the soil characteristics throughout the spot you're planting. Now, in an ag field, you're going to want to do one sample per acre, or if it's a really big ag field, one sample per 5 acres. That's kind of the rule of thumb, but still, nonetheless, doing the soil samples to start with, this goes back to putting in the work, right? So if you really do put in the soil sample and you put in the time and you see, okay, well, I really don't need that much nitrogen. Well, there you're saving money right there, because urea nitrogen is the most expensive part of fertilizer. It just is. It always will be. So if you can reduce that, if your pH is great, well, guess what? You don't have to put lime out. That saves you $200 a ton. I mean, that's pretty good savings. I
Yeah.
mean, it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you start putting out 2 tons to the acre, yeah, that's $400 an acre. That gets expensive quick, real quick.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so you got to think about all that kind of stuff. So if you do have the right pH and you do have decent fertilizer, well, then you can get something like an O2424 or whatever it looks like. Or even if you just need a small amount of nitrogen, you can buy fertilizer that is a small amount of nitrogen but has the phosphorus and potassium at the same or higher rates rather. But you get what I'm saying. It that
Yeah.
soil sample tells you everything you need to know, and if you take the time to
Well,
do it, it's going to help a lot.
and here's the other great thing about this is, like, if you're listening and you're like, dude, I don't understand a word that's coming out of Ben's mouth with all this fancy soil verbiage, guess what? You don't have to know anything. I'm not an agronomist. I didn't go to school for that. Okay. I know how to cook and I went to business school. Like, I don't know any of that. But guess who does? The people at the co op. I go to co op. I'm like, here's my soil. And they're like, give me your money. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, I'll see you in 2 weeks. And then they send me an email and I'm like, cool, what does this mean? And then they tell me some junk I don't understand. And then they make it for me. And I go put it out. Like, I don't have to understand. So yeah, yes, it's cool to understand and it's good to have people like Ben that to tell you. But if you're a big dummy like me and you don't really understand, the people at the co-op mix it for you and you're like, all right, cool, I'll bring your thing back later. And you go out and you put it out and you come back. It's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, no, you can do that real easy, man. It's funny that you say that. Now they will give you a form to fill out, but if you don't know what you're looking for, they will explain it to you. And also, if you'll notice, if
Yes.
they're using Waypoint Analytical, which is what they use here in the state or in our co-op in my region, what it'll do is it'll have a list at the bottom of what every category means, right? So that way okay, this test gets me this, or whatever. It explains it for you. But if you don't know, ask. There's no stupid question. I mean, seriously,
Yeah,
ask. I mean, that's the best way to find out, is to say, hey, what do I need to do? And they're going to say, well, what are you trying to grow? And then you tell them
exactly.
a food plot.
And how much and
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. It's not
all
hard,
that.
but that's where it all starts. It all starts with a soil sample, and the rest falls into
Yep.
place after that. It just takes a whole lot of work and a whole lot of time. But when you take that deer, you feel
Hmm.
so rewarded for your labor. It's phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Now, I know we've been talking about food plots a lot. Let's kind of turn the tables here. What other things can you do to improve habitat? Right. So maybe something like a select cut or a burn or trapping. Let's kind of dive into that for just a minute here. So
Ooh.
I'll dive into the trapping one just because that's out in my mind. Uh, I love turkeys. Turkey hunting that's what I live for, right? So anything I could do to help them, I'm gonna do. So I love trapping, getting those raccoons out of there, those possums, whatever the nest raider is in the area. If I can get them out of there, I'm all in. So just something else to think about. Maybe start trapping, and you don't have to do it for a living, but if you can get 5 6 raccoons out of there, that could save you some turkeys down in the long run.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So, what I think about trapping is that it is one of the best ways to not only keep your turkey population, but to increase your turkey population, just like what you just said. So last year, I noticed a
Mhm.
huge difference. When we first got the farm down in Linden, man, there were no gobbles. It was silent. Nobody killed a bird. I went in, I started trapping. I caught 45 raccoons. And guess what? Last season, we had everybody that came to hunt had the opportunity to shoot a turkey. Now, whether they hit it or not, it's not my problem. We all miss. We all have those times. I have missed a bunch. I mean, dude, when you get a turkey at 10 steps and they
Been there.
go to hammer and you feel the ground shake beneath you, you can get stirred up and miss. I've done it. And you're shooting a
Yeah.
daggum projectile. But the fact of the matter
Yeah.
is that by taking it goes back to the work, going in and putting in the work and putting in the trapping. See, that's part of the infrastructure. So, infrastructure of a hunting place, trapping has got to be involved in that because, dude, it's not just raccoons. Yes, raccoons are 90% of the nest raiders, but you also
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
possums, you have skunks, you have foxes, you have
Foxes?
bobcats, you have coyotes. They all play a part in that, right? So, and dude, coyotes even play a part in your fawns. Like, I heard a statistic somewhere. I don't know how true it is because I have not done the research myself. So don't hold this against me as, oh, well, he said, this exact thing, because I'm not 100% sure if it's true. But I heard that 19 fawns fall to female coyotes every year. That's a lot of fawns, man.
I could see it.
Yeah, I mean, I could
Yeah,
too,
that I mean
but
that could totally change your whole property,
mhm.
especially if you're on the lower end. Like I've really never had permission to hunt anything over like 40 acres. So, I mean that could totally wipe out your deer that are coming through there, or at least put a good dent in it. I mean, it probably won't wipe it out, but it could definitely hurt it. But on the flip side, if you trap, it could definitely help you. I mean, it can be a
Yeah.
game changer.
I mean, that's the thing, man. We have now, with just through trapping alone, we have encouraged so much. I mean, dude, all the birds are flourishing out there. The doves, the turkeys. We've got ducks now. What? Ducks? It's amazing. But like I said, man, it all goes back into making that infrastructure. You start with your soil sample, right? You start doing that. You start improving the land. You go into trapping. You start taking care of those predators and the nest robbers, right? And what do you do for trapping, John? Like for me, for example, I use the dog proofs for the raccoons, and then I use the 550s for the like the bobcats and coyotes and foxes and all that kind of stuff. But what do you like to do to catch your raccoons?
Yeah, so all I have are two little dog proof traps. I'm nothing crazy. Um, I've got some stuff I got at a convention. It's like some butterscotch bait, whatever you want to call it, food. And I'm fortunate enough there's a creek that runs through this place I hunt. Uh, it's where raccoons like to be sometimes. So I just put that out there. It's got a little chain. I can either put that around a tree. One I've got a rod in. Whatever that looks like for you. And I just put it where the raccoons like to be. And I don't overcomplicate it. I'm not an expert on trapping. I'm like, where do the raccoons like to be? By this creek. Cool. I'll put this trap here. Oh, it worked. I guess I'll keep it here. I don't overthink it. Uh, that's all I do, and it works. And I don't get 50 something raccoons like I probably could, but I get 5 to 10 out of there, and my turkey numbers go up. I'm happy.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's all it takes. And I just am one of those people that, I dive into something, I go off the deep end. So I get
Head
excited about
first, buddy.
trapping, and I'm like, I gotta have 500 traps. I got to trap everywhere. What?
That's
I
it.
mean, dude, I get so excited about this kind of stuff because I think, man, I'm really doing my part in conservation by trapping all these critters. And it's so much fun. It's like Christmas Day. Every day you go run your trap line because it's like, ha, what are we going to have today? Some days it's absolutely
That's it.
nothing. And some days you'll have, 5 or 6 critters in there and it just makes you really happy. And two, you don't let the critters go to waste. They have a fur that is phenomenal, man. Like I scrape them
Mm-hmm.
myself and all that stuff. Um, but I mean, I don't know. That's a weird subject on eating a dog, Cody. I guess I don't know how I feel
You
about
know,
that.
I've got a good buddy. You met him, Mr. Caleb.
Yeah.
He was in my wedding.
Hmm.
That dude, that guy eats everything, man. He don't care. Freaking gopher. He'll eat a
Yeah.
raccoon. He's like, man, you put anything in a good broth, low and slow, and tear it apart. That cat'll eat it, man. I mean, so worst case, just save him for old Caleb. He'll eat them.
Well, yeah, I could save him for old Caleb. But you know, you got to get past the point of, well, I'm not eating this animal. The thing is, you got to think is,
Yeah,
I'm
no. You
saving
are saving
the.
animals.
Well, the thing of it is, man, is because a raccoon really doesn't have a natural predator, right? They are mean as everything.
Mm-mm.
They have canines
Ooh,
too. A raccoon,
yeah.
especially a boar, man. Oh my gosh.
I hate them
I
things, man.
dude, I had this one boar
I hate a
bow up.
raccoon.
Dude, this boar raccoon bowed up on me. I was like, bro, that's a bad idea. I have dominion over
Mm-hmm.
you and I'm bigger
I'm
than
meaner
you.
than you are.
And I've got this little pea shooter that goes pew pew and it's going to take you out. I don't have to do nothing. Just
Nope.
makes it real quick and
Simple.
easy. Um, and it's real humane to do it that way too, just one shot, real quick,
Yeah. Be over.
night night. Um,
See you, pal.
but you're saving your turkeys, man. I saw a huge brood. Is that what a turkey's flock is called? Is a brood? Is that correct?
It could just be called a flock, but that sounds fancified to me. Sure, we'll roll with it.
Yeah, cool. Brood, whatever it's called. I'm sure one of you turkey nuts are going to correct me, and that's okay. I'll take it because I'm not real sure what I'm talking about. But I'm pretty sure it's called a brood. But man, I've had a phenomenal hatch this year on the ranch, and I have to contribute that to trapping. Now, there is other things that you can do on your land that is more beneficial for the growth of plants. And one of those things is controlled burns, especially in your
Mm.
ag fields and your pine stands. It really, hardwoods, I don't know because I don't ever burn my hardwoods. I always burn
Well,
my ag fields.
I can tell you on the woods part. Now I'm no scientist. I don't, but as far as just being a turkey hunter, there was a piece of public that the local wildlife agency decided to burn in the woods, control burn, and the basics of what it does. Right, they burned all the undergrowth, and then these little grubs started to grow, of whatever.
Mm.
I couldn't tell you what it was, but the bottom line is, the turkeys loved whatever was growing, and there were 11 turkeys killed on this piece of public land, and I was one of them. And I shot that thing, and the field was still smoking. I mean, buddy, they love it. They don't need to wait. And I'm sure they treat a field the same exact way. And I'm gonna let you explain what a burn does as far as nutritionally. But if you want to kill a bird, burn your land, buddy. They'll be there. I promise you that.
Yeah, so the reason that I burn the fields every year is because number one, it encourages your growth of your wanted plants like your corn and soybeans, but it suppresses your weeds. That's what the burning does. It burns it and you don't want to burn it too hot. You don't want it to get it so hot that it scorches the soil, because then your soil is not really worth crap for a while. So you want to burn it at the right temperature, and the best way to do that, and for me in an ag field, what I've seen is I'll go around the perimeter, right, and I will make a burn line. And one thing I do, since I do it by myself a lot, is I will cut it up into smaller portions. I'll have a burn line that goes right through the middle of the field, and that way it separates it out into like a 1 acre portion, a 2 acre portion, instead of a 3 whole acre portion. I can light one section at a time on fire, and it's not near as bad to control when I do it that way. But man, I tell you, I had some of the best weed control this year by just simply burning and then planting. This spring, man, it was like cutting through butter with the disc harrow after I burned off all the ag fields. It was phenomenal. And so think about it. That's ash, right? So think about this. When you burn a field, ash is formed. That's potash, goes right back into the soil. It's really good, and it really encourages healthy soil, right? But like you said, the turkeys absolutely love it. And to that fact, we actually killed a triple this past spring uh, before 7 o'clock, and it was all in burnt fields. I mean, it was boom, boom,
Mm-hmm.
boom, just hammered down, man, in those burnt fields. And there's just, like you said, there's something to the burnt field that even deer love, man. They'll come and investigate it, look at it. Oh, what's going on here?
Oh
You
yeah.
but dude, I think it really does something special for the turkeys. I think it provides them with a lot of extra food that they just normally
Yeah.
don't have, I guess.
Well, it's all that new growth coming, and in the woods part, it kind of burned all that underbrush and made it a little easier to walk too. So they didn't really have to, kind of struggle, because turkeys are the liquid animal. Like, they're gonna take the path of least resistance. Most animals are, but turkeys, man, they can be stubborn. They're like,
Yeah,
I ain't crossing over there. This limb ain't
yeah,
right. Like, but if
yeah,
you just burn it all, they're like, cool, neat.
yeah,
I'm gonna beat bop through here,
yeah.
and then
Everybody's running
you call them
wild.
over and shoot them. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
That's it.
that's right.
Love it.
Absolutely, man. Well, this just reminds me of a solid Bible verse. It's Genesis 27:3 and 4, and it says, "Take your bow and quiver, go out to the field and hunt some game for me, and bring it back and make a savory meal." So you see, we have the field, which we've been talking about, the food plots and the burnings and all that stuff, and then you have the bow, which we've already done an episode on, right? And then you have the meal, which you are really, really good at. And we're going to dive into that in another episode. But,
Yeah.
folks,
Oh, yeah.
John and his dad are phenomenal cooks. Now, I don't know about Jimmy. I don't know if he got that gene or not. But you and your dad
Nah, he
are
kind of
phenomenal.
missed the boat.
Oh, did he? He sailed on.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, well, you see, we my family bought a restaurant when I was 15, and we don't have to deep dive too much because I will tell this story again on the podcast we talk about. But bottom line is, mom and dad grew up in kitchens, so I grew up in that environment. We bought a restaurant. I learned how to cook. That's the short and sweet version, and I now take those skills to hunting camp, where Ben has been a part of a few of those pretty awesome meals. We've done a few of them all over the country, and he is really liking that. He found somebody who can be the camp chef. So it's worked out for everybody. I don't think anyone's had a bad meal. So whenever someone brings something in, I can usually whip something up that same day, and it's pretty special.
Yeah, it's pretty special. Absolutely, it's special. We just don't want Alex to do that survey or whatever it's called, that water jump. Just put it on the grill, man.
Boy.
Just Traeger it, or
Yeah,
put it, sear it in a pan.
listen, folks. Yeah, I can deep dive into this later, but the bottom line is, if you boil steak, you should go to jail. That's a criminal act.
You're un-American. That cow didn't die for that.
I mean, what are we doing? That poor cow died twice. If you made it that way, good night, I live.
Oh man, dude.
Oh,
yeah.
goodness.
Nonetheless, well, we will pick up the food and the cooking and some recipes on another episode.
We will
really
get
soon.
into all that.
But folks, thank you so much for listening to this episode. We appreciate all the support. We love everything that we're doing here, and we appreciate you guys for letting it happen. So the Redneck is signing out.
All right, guys. We'll see you later. Make sure to check us out. Like, share, subscribe. Check out Rooted Television as well. Thanks. See ya.